Coming up on this Monday edition of Daybreak, a deadly bomb attack on a Korean tour bus in Egypt kills at least 4, including 3 Koreans, and injures some 20 others. As part of President Park's 3-year economic plan, the government will announce measures that include streamlining red tape to spur investment and supporting small and mid-sized businesses. Plus, authorities say the amount of oil spilled into waters of Korea's southeastern port city of Busan over the weekend is greater than the recent oil spill in waters off the south coast. Daybreak begins now.
Thanks for joining us. You're watching Daybreak on Monday, February 17th. I'm Choi Yoo-sun in Seoul. We start with the shocking news out of Egypt. A suspected bomb attack on a tourist bus in the northeastern Sinai peninsula has killed at least 3 Korean tourists and an Egyptian driver. Kim Min-ji has the latest.
At least 4 people, including 3 Koreans, have been killed and more than 20 injured after an explosion ripped through a tourist bus near a border crossing between Egypt and Israel on Sunday. None of the injured are said to be in critical condition. Egypt's Interior Ministry did not state the cause of the blast, but 2 security sources said a bomb planted either inside or near the bus was used. The bus was carrying 33 people, 31 Korean nationals from a church in Jincheon, Chungcheongbuk-do Province, their Korean guide, and an Egyptian bus driver. Egyptian authorities say the group was on its way to Israel after visiting St. Catherine's Monastery, a popular tourist attraction in South Sinai. The group was reportedly on a 12-day pilgrimage that included stops to Turkey, Egypt, and Israel. Korea's foreign ministry has confirmed 3 Koreans and the Egyptian bus driver were killed in the attack. Army sources said it was a terrorist attack, but no group has stepped forward to take responsibility. Militants in Sinai have stepped up their attacks against police and army forces in recent months after the army ousted President Mohamed Morsi last July. The Egyptian government says it's very disappointed by the attack and hoped it was an isolated incident that would not be repeated. Korea's foreign ministry says it has dispatched 3 of its officials in Egypt and Israel to the bombing site. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
The Korean government is aiming to give the economy another shot in the arm by announcing a detailed set of measures as part of its 3-year economic plan. The package of measures to be officially laid out before the end of the month will focus on streamlining red tape and boosting the country's 5 brightest sectors, including education, finance, and software. Kim Shin-se-min reports.
The Korean government is gearing up a new 3-year economic plan that includes a negative list system for deregulation in an effort to boost investment. Government officials said Sunday that the regulations will reduce the number of restrictions and streamline red tape. The new plan will mainly bolster Korea's promising industrial sectors, namely health, education, tourism, finance, and software. The plan, which will be announced before the end of the month, also aims to boost the number of women and young people in the workforce and ease the financial burden of private education. In an effort to raise the nation's slumping youth employment level, students not entering university will be able to receive vocational training. The government will also provide financial support to small and medium-sized media content developers to promote the sector as a high-valued industry. The government will also adjust underground economic activities, enforce strict taxation, and eliminate unfair business practices on smaller companies. Regarding inter-Korean relations, the government is also looking to include reunification matters as part of the 3-year plan. President Park Geun-hye has said her administration has set itself a 4-7-4 goal by the end of her term, which means 4% economic growth, a 70% employment rate, and an annual per capita income of around $40,000. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Three of the nation's largest credit card firms will be subject to a 3-month business suspension from this Monday as punishment for its leak of millions of customers' financial data. The Financial Services Commission says KB Financial Group, Nongyap Financial Group, and retailer Lotte Group have been banned from issuing new credit and debit cards or extending loans until May 16th. Existing customers will be provided with financial services as usual. The three firms estimate the business suspension will cost them a combined $1.9 billion in lost business. Tens of millions of cardholders were affected by last month's breach, the largest in the country's history. In response to a media report of a possible Korea-Japan Leaders Summit next month, Korea's presidential office says no talks are currently underway for a meeting between President Park Geun-hye and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Speaking to reporters on Sunday, an official from Cheongwade said the two countries would first have to resolve a range of historical and territorial issues before their leaders can meet face-to-face. The comments came after Japan's Nihon Keizai Shimbun newspaper said Tokyo had high hopes for a leaders' summit with Seoul and that it would soon propose a meeting on the sidelines of next month's nuclear security summit in The Hague. The official, however, declined to confirm whether or not Seoul has received such a proposal from Tokyo. Prosecutors here in Korea have reopened a case involving a Japanese rock band's defamatory comments against Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery. The Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office has resumed its investigation into CDs and lyrics mailed to the so-called comfort women in February of last year. The package sent by the ultra-right-wing rock band Scramble contained songs and lyrics of death threats against the victims, in which it refers to the women as prostitutes. While the victims have since filed charges against the band, prosecutors were unable to successfully identify the senders and have formally requested the Japanese government's cooperation. It, however, remains uncertain whether Tokyo will respond to the request. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un paid his respects to his late father Kim Jong-il on Sunday to mark the former leader's 72nd birthday. Kim Jong-il's birthday is one of the most important holidays in the North, along with the birthday of regime founder Kim Il-sung. The young leader, accompanied by his top military officials, visited the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun in Pyongyang, where his father's embalmed body lies in state. While paying their respects, Kim and his entourage promised to be loyal to the Kim family line. It's been a year in the making, and on Monday, a UN panel is set to conclude North Korea should face international punishment for its systematic abuse of its people. According to reported leaks of its findings, the UN Commission of Inquiry on the North's human rights will say the regime has committed crimes against humanity and should be referred to the International Criminal Court in The Hague. North Korea has long been accused of grave rights abuses, ranging from holding hundreds of thousands of political prisoners in concentration camps to committing torture and public executions. Pyongyang has long denied the accusations. The commission will announce its findings in Geneva Monday, and its final report will be presented to the UN Human Rights Council next month.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiation.
President Park Geun-hye, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a...
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday that Korea's southern coast has been hit by yet another disastrous oil spill, this time in waters off the port city of Busan. Well over 200,000 liters of oil leaked into the water after a freighter collided with an oil tanker on Saturday. Our Kim Hyun-bin reports.
237,000 liters. That's how much oil officials say gushed into the sea after a Liberian-registered freighter collided with an oil tanker on Saturday. The amount of oil spilled is over 70,000 liters more than during another oil spill in Yeosu last month. Over the weekend, the Coast Guard managed to place a 500-meter-long oil fence around the main spill to try and contain it, and chemical dispersants are being sprayed onto it. The police said they succeeded in sealing off the hull in the vessel 3 hours after the collision. The only positive news thus far is that no oil has been found near the seashore yet, and no cases of contamination damage have been reported. There are, however, concerns fish farms about 5 kilometers from the spill could become contaminated. The maritime police say it'll take about 4 days of cleanup work to prevent any secondary damage.
We have 70 vessels deployed to contain the spill, including response vessels. The cleanup work is expected to take a few more days.
The Korea Coast Guard expects poor weather conditions and high waves to be the main cause of the crash. But the maritime police say they'll launch a probe to determine the exact cause of the accident as soon as the cleanup work is finished. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
The Korean government has pledged to provide more support for the military cybersecurity forces in order to respond to the growing threat of cyber terrorism. But the boost in national defense is also expected to help promote entrepreneurship and innovation in the science and technology sector. Our Polly reports.
Here at a leading university in Seoul, a special class is in session where students are being taught the basics of cyber warfare. Some of the tactics include learning how to prevent computer hacking attacks, tracking IP addresses, and creating online countermeasures. The intense workshop takes place in the so-called War Room and is part of the school's cyber defense program.
In terms of security, it's not just about operating a computer. We also receive instructions in mathematics, computer programming, and military classes.
Launched in 2012 in cooperation with the Defense Ministry, this elite program recruits gifted freshmen and trains them in high-level hacking and science-related technology.
We start with basic instruction in areas such as information security. Then students are taught a wide range of topics, including cyber law and cyber policies. Also, they are able to deal with incoming cyber threats and cyber terrorism.
Similar joint development programs have already been established at 5 other special research universities, including KAIST and POSTECH. It's part of a greater initiative by the government to foster Korea's next generation of information security experts and cyber intelligence officers.
The ministry will establish social support measures to advance graduate school enrollment and employment, as well as provide support for startups. In cooperation with the Defense Ministry, we will also provide recruitment information for job seekers in the defense sector.
Modeled after Israel's Elite Forces training program, Korea aims to train more soldiers that can effectively respond to cyber terrorism threats to enhance national security, all the while improving the country's expertise in science, technology, and engineering. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
Korea's Culture Ministry has selected this year's brands that best represent the Korean wave. They include the Korean language, the iconic song Arirang, and the popular sport of Taekwondo. The ministry hopes they will all promote the country's image and meet the growing international demand for all things Korean. Park Ji-won reports.
The explosion of K-pop music and Korean dramas around the world has fueled surging interest among fans and students alike in learning the Korean language. In order to meet the rise in demand, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism announced that it would expand its support of overseas language and cultural institutes. The ministry said it would increase the total number of King Sejong institutes throughout the world, with a goal of reaching 180 branches by 2017. Named after the founding father of Hangul, the educational institutes were first launched by the government in 2005. In addition, Korean cultural centers will get a funding boost so they can plan routes in more foreign locations over the next 4 years. Meanwhile, the Hangul Museum, A national museum devoted to the Korean alphabet Hangul will open in Yongsan, central Seoul this October.
There is a great demand internationally to learn Korean. The waiting list for foreigners who want to learn Korean at cultural centers or King Sejong institutes is usually 3 months. In some cases, it's so popular that some people have to wait 5 months.
The ministry also plans to promote the traditional Korean folk song Arirang with a major festival dedicated to it this October. Arirang became part of UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2012. Korean martial arts is another area of focus for the government. The new Taekwondo One Park in Chungcheongbuk-do Province will be holding its grand opening ceremony on April 24th, with its vast facilities dedicated to the education, training, and research of the popular sport. The trifecta of Hangul, Arirang, and Taekwondo is expected to build a foundation for the Korean wave in 2014 as the country further invests in its cultural assets at home and abroad. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is urging the international community to take steps to tackle climate change. Speaking in Jakarta Sunday, Kerry said man-made climate change could threaten our entire way of life, adding it can now be considered a natural weapon of mass destruction. Kerry says there's scientific evidence climate change was also threatening the world economy. He added that warming sea temperatures could negatively affect Indonesia's fishing industry, while rising sea levels could put much of the country underwater. Combating climate change was also the main agenda during his talks in China over the weekend.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick off the second week of our Sochi coverage with Kim Yeon-ha's latest practice before she defends her Olympic title later this week. Now, while she spent some time rooting for the South Korean short track team over the weekend, she also spent time practicing on the main ice rink for the first time. And while the figure queen didn't like the ice conditions on the other ice rink, she stated that the main ice rink where she will compete later this week was very hard and was in good condition. She added that she saw a lot of the mistakes during the men's competition and was worried about the ice conditions, but was satisfied after her practice over the weekend. Meanwhile, she's set to have her short program on Thursday, followed by her free skating performance on Friday. Now, South Korean fans were introduced to a sport which really took off in popularity this year thanks to the recent success of the South Korean women's curling team. And despite their best efforts, they were mathematically eliminated from the Olympics. Now, going up against the 6th-ranked Denmark, the Korean women's curling team, who've earned the nickname Curls Day, fell short, losing 7-3, leaving their record at 2 wins and 5 losses. And with the loss, they will not be able to advance to the next round, even if they win all their remaining round-robin matches. And moving over to the much-anticipated bobsledding event where 2 Korean teams headed into their 2-person event earlier today. And the first race, the team of Won Yun-jung and Seo Young-woo finished 18th overall after coming in a time of 57.41 seconds, with Kim Dong-hyun and Chun Jung-min finishing 25th with their final time at 57.78 seconds. And in the second race, they improved their time just a bit as Won Yun-jung and Seo Young-woo finished their second race in 57.20 seconds, with Kim Dong-hyun and Chun Jung-min finishing at 57.76 seconds. Now, the final time after 2 races is good for 19th and 25th place overall, as Russia is currently in first place with a combined time of 1 minute 52.82 seconds. And moving over to the women's 1500-meter speed skating event where the Dutch skaters proved once again that they're the best in the world when it comes to speed skating, as long as it's not the 500-meter speed skating event against Lee Sang-hwa. Now on Sunday, the Netherlands finished first, second, and third after Joran Termors finished first with an Olympic record time of 1 minute 53.51 seconds for the gold medal, followed by Irene Wust in second with Lotte van Beek in third for the bronze. Meanwhile, the Korean skaters did their best as Kim Bo-reum finished 21st overall, followed by No Sun-young at 29th and Yan Chin-young at 36th overall. And shifting gears to the Alpine Ski Super G event, where Bodie Miller made history after becoming the oldest alpine skier to win an Olympic medal. At 36 years and 127 days, the American came in tied for third with a final time of 1 minute 18.67 seconds as he claims the bronze medal along with Jan Hurek of Canada. With the teary-eyed Miller went through a knee injury which sidelined him in 2013 and a devastating death of his younger brother last April. And now finishing things off, let's take a look at how everyone is faring so far in the medal standings after 9 days of competition in Sochi. Of course, taking a look here, we see that Germany holds on to the top spot with 7 gold medals, as the Netherlands up there in second. Switzerland making a huge jump up to fourth with 5 gold medals, where Russia making the top 5 with 4 gold medals. Meanwhile, Korea drops down to 17th after Shim Seok-hee added a silver in the women's 1500-meter short track event over the weekend. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good Monday morning to you. I'm Jicheon with your latest weather forecast. Well, I hope you had a wonderful weekend and didn't it feel like early spring on the weekend? And the weather condition for today should be similar to what we had yesterday. Morning lows are starting out in the positive side in most regions, and afternoon high in Seoul will soar to 9 in the afternoon, but the rest of the country shouldn't see much rise in temperatures during the day. And lots of clouds will cover the peninsula, dropping showers in some regions like Gwangju and Jeju, so it will be a cloudy and rainy day for most areas, but snowy day for Gangwon-do. It will snow again from the morning hours and continue till Thursday, and Gangwon-do is expected to receive around 50 centimeters of snow in the next 4 days. But while Gangwon-do will suffer from heavy snow for this week, the other regions are set to have a transition period to early spring. Temperatures can go up and down, so it will be slightly cooler next few days, but will jump back to mild side as we go through the week. With that in mind, here are the readings for today. The morning low in Seoul and Daegu is at 2, but will get up to 9 and 8 respectively, while Gwangju should see a high of 6 and Busan will top out at 9 this afternoon under lots of clouds. Now let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like Jeju will climb up to 10 in the afternoon, Daejeon will rise to 9, while the top temperature on Mount Kumgang will be at -8. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all from me at this hour. Hope you enjoy your morning commute and have a great day.
And that does it for this Monday edition of Daybreak. Stay with us throughout the day as we bring you the latest headlines.